Welcome to episode 158 of the Muck Podcast, a member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina Hadamio.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
Hillary.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. That's what you usually do.
Whoa, RuPaul's Drag Race is back, baby!
Woo!
It's so fucking good!
Is it so good?
And the only people I had to talk about it with is Justin and Nikki, and so they're obsessed with drag as much as I am. And so at the meeting this week, Justin walked in, I'm like, ooh, Anitra, bitch, Anitra! Who's this queen that fucking killed it? She fucking killed it. So I'm like, be prepared. The yes and all that, it's coming. It's gonna go back in my vocabulary.
I love it. We need it.
Oh, it's so fucking amazing.
We need some joy.
So, I mean, I don't know what your first thing is to bring up, but I mean, how can we not talk about?
Oh, I was gonna let you talk about it. I'm gonna jump in, but I knew that was already on the table. Mine are like stupid, like federal level
this is
shenanigans.
Craziness. We had an election, our midterm election, November 8th, 2022.
Slaughter.
Today is January 14th, right? Good 2 months later. And this week, Manny Diaz, the chair of the Florida Democratic Party, retired. He said he retired in his 2,500 plus word resign letter, because he resigned, because didn't do shit. And everybody knew it.
Did he say retire or resign?
He said retired. I'm retiring from this position. No, bro.
No.
You got fucking told to get the fuck out. I mean, 2 months too late if you ask me.
Yeah,
you should have resigned the day after. And the thing that's funny is, like, this week, next week, they were supposed to have their first meeting with the committee people in 2 months. Right. Your fucking party gets their ass kicked up and down the state, and you wait 2 months.
And sessions happening.
Sessions starting, like, you wait 2 fucking months to have a fucking meeting and, like, recap what the fuck happened, because he thought the waters will calm.
No.
Right? And they won't fucking take a vote and tell me to get out. So, to preempt that, he resigns, right?
Yeah.
Which now throws the party into, which is, fine, a little bit of a tailspin. Not that we're not already in a tailspin.
It doesn't matter. It's we're in udderless, is it right?
Yeah, rudderless.
Udderless.
That's whatever. Yeah. We're that too. We got no nips, no chins,
we got
no
nothing.
teeth, nothing.
We have
no
nothing.
milk.
and it's not like we really had leadership before. You know what I mean?
True,
like, what does it matter?
True. Okay, fine. But here's what happens now. Because when everybody was like, he needs to resign. The next question was like, okay, but who's stepping up, right? So here we are 2 months later, no plan, no recap, no like, here's what we should be doing. At some point, somebody has to stop the fucking runaway train that we are going down this into the hellscape of Florida. The Florida Democratic Party is this train that's out of control. Somebody needs to pump the fucking brakes and step off the train and make a plan of like, what's our direction?
What are we doing?
What's our destination?
Because we're about to go off the cliff.
Yeah, like
in the cartoon.
They're not pulling back.
Yeah.
So instead, they just keep doing things. So, okay, in my opinion, the next chair needs to be somebody who is can raise money.
Yep.
That's important, which everybody thought about Manny Diaz, and he raised $2 million in the first quarter 2 years ago and stopped.
Right.
And then was said in his 2,500-page resignation, which, by the way, was the most work he's done in 2 fucking years. By the way, also in this resignation letter was 20 different reasons of why it wasn't his fucking fault.
Oh, no. Yeah. I didn't read through that whole letter.
Oh, my God. It's exhausting.
Oh, God. So
this motherfucker.
Deflect.
You're a piece of shit.
Just own it.
And you know you've done nothing. You've done nothing.
Or just resign. Like, just say, I'm stepping down.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I didn't realize it'd be so hard to get money. What? Really? How about come into the job and look at the fucking books? Look at how much money we're not getting anymore because of all these third-party groups. And when I say third-party, I mean like voter registration groups, all these other groups that exist now because they popped up because the party was so shitty. Right. That all these other groups popped up across the state, and people would rather give money directly to candidates or these other groups than to the party because they know it's a waste of fucking time and money.
Or at least have some kind of language that tells people what this money is going to be used for.
Yeah.
But you need a plan for that.
You need a plan. So at some point, whoever's going to
and it should be building relationships. If we're not getting money, right, that's where you've got to go back to people on the federal level and try to build those relationships and say, we need help down here.
Yeah. So we need someone who can raise money. We need someone who's going to have a plan that's really, like, the party should be focusing on registering voters. They shouldn't, listen, we can't get involved in issues. I hate to bring this up. But we can't get involved in issues. Let the party has a platform. Stick to the platform. Stop. Don't get involved in don't say gay. Sorry. Don't get involved. It's so heavily in the way that it distracts from the job you're supposed to be doing. Because here's the thing. The party really doesn't care about don't say gay or LGBTQ. Because we know that. Because when don't say gay happened, they were planning their winter conference or whatever it was for the state. A week after the Disney thing, the whole thing blew up, they were planning a conference in Disney. At Disney. And the fucking Stephen Gaskell, the president of the LGBTQ statewide caucus, was like, calls Manny Diaz, sends him emails. He's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What are you doing? They're not standing up for gay people. They're not, that's before Disney.
And we're going to give them money.
What are you doing? We can't do this. Guess what else just happened? So now that Manny Diaz is out, they're not going to have their meeting next week. So well, who cares, right? So now they're going to schedule the meeting. I believe it was for February 23rd. And the woman who's the first vice chair, and now like the acting chair, said that they're going to have a meeting February 23rd with all the committee people to elect the next chair. And she said this gives these candidates time to crisscross the state, which, by the way, is very big, to meet other people, to meet all these clubs and caucuses, introduce themselves, and get votes. Right. Yeah. Guess when they planned the meeting? The same weekend as the state LGBTQ caucus winter conference. The same day as our conference. Oh my God. And they put out a tweet. The LGBTQ caucus said, we made them aware of this. We told them before they set the date. They don't give a fuck. They don't fucking care. So don't tell me about don't say gay. They ride the waves like most Democrats and jump on a fucking issue and ride it into hell and actually distract themselves from real things that are happening. Like, I don't know, homeowners insurance that people can't afford to fucking live here anymore.
Well, or if they were organized, they could have different committees in this Florida Democratic Party where there is someone dedicated to making sure a don't say gay issue is taken care of by that group with, you know what I mean? Like they
can't get people to sit on a board.
I know. I wish I could see what is the organizational structure of the FDP.
By the way, do me a favor. Sometime today or whatever, tomorrow, go on their website. It's a clusterfuck of people all over this page. I'm like, who's who here? I don't know what the fuck is going on. Here's the thing. The first person on Twitter that I saw was like, I am proud to announce my candidacy for this chair is Alex Barreros, Berrios. Apparently was a senior staffer at the Florida Democratic Party during the last 2 years. And he's like, I've organized voters. I've done this. I've never heard of the guy before, but I'm not
But
clearly...
the state's big. So
I'm not involved with the state party. So... please go look at his Twitter because the amount of fucking people who are in the comments like, no. Like the one person wrote, you're the reason I left politics.
No.
Especially women of color were like, you are the worst fucking person to work for. You're the reason why we lost. Like, you were the one taking the reins and making the plans, and you're the reason we lost.
What is going on in the state?
Not only that,
there are leaders all over the state. Like, nobody in this state can say, here's someone good for the job.
This egotistical, and the only people who are like, yay, go Alex, were like party hacks. Were people who are elected to clubs and caucuses, who want to stay in power and stay close to people who are in power, which are the people you should be the most afraid of, right? And two fucking state reps retweeted it and were like, the audacity. Representative Michelle Rayner, who's a friend of the pod, was like, absolutely not. Representative Angie Nixon, another black woman elected House rep from Jacksonville, was like, no. Now, if a state rep, two
that are Democrats
are coming out against you publicly, there's something really wrong, because believe me when I tell you, these motherfuckers don't come out about anything. You know what I mean? When it comes to the party, people are very, very careful.
People stay quiet.
They're very, very careful. So,
girl.
Now there's a rumor that Annette Taddeo, who's a loser, okay? a loser. She tried to bamboozle the governor's race and took money away from the Nikki Free campaign, if you ask me, because she's an old friend of Charlie in the Closet, Christ. She was his lieutenant governor nominee. And then he asked her to jump into this race to pull votes away from Nikki in Miami, which she did.
That was what people... Yeah, I mean,
that was the point.
And
she really didn't want to be the governor. She wants to fucking play games. Then she gets out of that race because she wasn't going to win anything and jumps into a U.S. Senate race, or not Senate race, a U.S. House race.
Yes.
In Miami somewhere. That she lost. Now this woman wants to run for the party chair, which, by the way, the party does not. People in the party do not like her because a couple years ago, she dragged those motherfuckers through the mud. Like, bad, right?
I don't understand.
They don't like her.
Like, there's no one in this state that we can turn
Wait,
to.
I haven't finished yet. There's another nominee.
Well, I'm waiting for it.
Then, on Wednesday night, I was having so much fun at the Dolphins meeting. Saying hi to everybody. What's up, ladies?
Yeah.
Like, I love it. I sit there, people come in, I have new members, I'm checking them in, I'm having so much fun, time of my life, talking about Drag Race, screaming at Nikki about Drag Race and blah, 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 right? Michael Albetta comes over to me with his phone and says, I was just told to show you this. And it was a Sun Sentinel Anthony Mann article, breaking news. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Hold on, I'm gonna throw it.
Don't hold back, girl.
Rick Hoy, the chair of the Broward Democratic Party, is running for the Florida chair.
I know.
I went, what? I said, this is a joke. You just made that on Canva. That's a joke, right? Like, you made this up. And Michael's like, no, it's real. And he walked away from me. And I lost my mind. I started looking it up and I'm sending it. I brought it to you.
Yeah.
I brought it to Justin. I brought it to everyone. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I texted it to people. And everybody who texted me back was like, you're joking, right? Then, right before I give my treasury report, Alfredo announces it to the crowd, which, by the way, because it was a bylaws meeting, we had a very mixed crowd of old party people from the Broward party were in the audience. Including the ex-wife of somebody who might have just been a chair.
Oh,
right? And he says, by the way, the party chair has resigned. There's lots of people. And Alfredo goes, I think someone who has business experience, who can raise money, who knows how to run a business, should be the person who's in charge of the party.
Right.
He goes locally too. And then he says, by the way, Rick Hoy, the chair of the Broward Democratic Party, just threw his hat in the ring. And the gasps and the faces of the crowd.
I have to say, because where I was sitting in that meeting,
you could see everybody.
I could see everybody's
I was looking.
And the way that it moved.
It was like,
from the front of the room back.
It's like
was like... And I don't... Listen. I'm not trying to... Listen. I'm not trying to...
It's not an attack,
a personal attack. No.
Nice guy.
He's a very nice guy.
But you're not prepared.
He's a very nice guy.
But you're not the person for this job.
But
my God.
But can we just look at Broward? And I feel like if you really wanted to help the party, like, why aren't you starting here?
Yeah.
Right?
You failed.
We had a huge problem this last election where things need to be revamped and we need to look at things again. But instead of like, wow, let's really rethink what we can do in Broward because we're losing one of the biggest Democratic strongholds in the state.
Oh my God.
Instead... we're going to take over the whole... And again, it's nothing against the person, but I agree with Alfredo.
It's a joke.
I agree with Alfredo that we need someone that can build relationships, raise a shit ton of money, and really like someone who's like has built a whole social media campaign where the Florida DP is calling out the federal Democratic Party going, we're not getting any money, like doing shit to call people out, getting us money, like making us heard. We're not heard in Broward.
We're
not heard in Broward, and now you're going to try to make us heard statewide.
In the last 2 years, Broward, in the last 2 years leading up to this midterm, it's proof enough. Look at the fucking numbers, dude. Look at the numbers from November. Broward is losing. We lost so many fucking votes. We are now surrounded by red Miami-Dade, and it's creeping in from the West Broward, and you want to pat yourself on the back and give yourself a fucking promotion? Not gonna happen. Although,
I mean, we are in Florida, so anything.
And we also are in Broward, which means we've talked about this on the podcast before. The way that the fucking Florida Democratic Party works is committee people elect them, from what I understand.
Right.
And Broward, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, it's a weighted vote, which means that the two committee people who I have talked about extensively on this podcast, Grace Carrington and Ken Evans, hold a lot of weight with their vote. And their good Judy is Rick Hoy. Yeah. And if Rick Hoy gets Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach to vote for him, he takes the whole fucking thing. Now, listen to me. I'm very sorry that you don't have people around you who can sit you down when you float this idea. Because I've had to do this with people and say, are you sure that this is something that you want to do? I'm your friend and I care about you. So are you trying to do this because of this, or are you trying to do it because of this? Really consider what you're doing. If you didn't float this idea by anybody, or if you did and they were all like, yeah, you should do it, they're not your friends. What those people are trying to hold on to your coattails as you go up to be the state chair, because they think being close to you makes them important. But really what they're doing is putting you on the chopping block. They're putting you up as the sacrificial lamb. You are not capable of doing this job. It has nothing to do with, it's not a cut, it's not a personal attack. You're not capable of doing it. It wasn't proven in Broward in the last 2 years. If there was a blue wave in this county more than anywhere else in the state, I'd be like, fuck, this motherfucker knows what's going on. That's not the case. It's not the case. No one should have encouraged this. No one should have asked him to run. It is an outrage. And here's the bottom line. Like I said before, this is a runaway train, this party, and we are going off a cliff, like Tina said. We need someone capable and competent enough to pull the train back. Because at some point, we gotta stop playing games. The people who live here are fucking suffering. Yeah. My mortgage just went up $300 a month because of homeowners insurance. Very soon, by next year, I won't be able to afford to live here. And so you wanna play games and have somebody in charge of a party who's supposed to be putting these motherfucker Republicans out of business. You want to put somebody who's not capable. At what point do we take it seriously and put somebody in charge of the party who's actually going to do the fucking job that we need them to do? And it's going to be a thankless job. It's going to be rough. It's going to be hard. Yeah. The first person who steps in there and actually puts a 10 to 20 year plan in place is not going to have a lot of success. But they need to set the stage for the next chair who can follow that plan and take us on to victory. But it's not you. And I don't think it's Alex Barreros. I don't know who it is.
Annette Tadeo.
But I know this. When I go to the Broward Dems meeting in November after that loss, and nobody wants to start taking responsibility, I know that's not the person for the job. And he's a fucking great guy. I'm not trying to be a dick. But nice is over. People are fucking suffering. People are living in their cars. You know what I mean? What are you doing? You're not thinking about the people in Florida and what's best for them. You're thinking about yourself. And nobody, by the way, will fucking say it out loud. It's crickets on Twitter from everybody I know that is friends with this fucking guy. Everybody. Is nobody behind closed doors telling him? And I'm talking about elected officials who are friends with you. Nobody's calling you and telling you not to do this? Is anybody calling and saying, yes, we're happy for you? Because I know that's not happening. Nobody's calling you and saying congratulations on this. Nobody. Because it's not a welcomed idea. The delusion and the ego has taken over. And I think we've had enough of that. Haven't we?
I mean...
Isn't it enough already?
We need strong leadership. And there's so much that still needs to be done in Broward. You know what I mean?
What happens to Broward when you abandon it?
Yeah.
Like you're so secure in Broward County. That's a joke. Look at the fucking numbers and stop blaming like voters didn't come out. That was literally your job. It was literally your job as party, and it would literally be your job as the state chair to make sure people across the entire 30 million people across the state come out to vote.
In counties that are not blue like Broward, how are you hitting those counties? How are you engaging voters there? I mean.
Here's the thing.
This is a huge undertaking.
It's like somebody saying, Hillary, you know what I need you to do tomorrow morning? Go be a brain surgeon. I need you to cut this person's head open and do some brain surgery. I'd be like, no, I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't go, sure, I'll go in and give it an old college try. Know what your capabilities are. Right. Maybe you could be the state chair in a few years. You are not tested and proven to be the most successful person at the job.
At this point.
No way. Ooh. And I love everyone around me, but y'all better start stepping the fuck up. Because if we don't use our voices, that mine is not powerful at all, believe me. Nobody gives a fuck what I think. But there's a lot of people we know that have a lot more power than I do and could actually maybe make people pay attention and say, yeah, this isn't right. You all have to say something. What else are we doing this for?
I know.
Why? This is why I'm glad I'm not going to be involved in politics anymore. It's all shitty. And it's all about, like I said to you the other day on the phone, I don't know, I know a couple other people like us that volunteer who aren't in it to get to the next position,
right.
to run for office, right. to make money here. We don't have a
right.
job in politics, so
right.
we can say whatever we want. But other people have to get the balls to do it. Here's a perfect example. Go ahead.
No, but even if someone, came to me and said, oh, apply for something at the state level, I would be like, yeah. I can't do that. You know what I mean? And we've been volunteering for a long time.
Yeah, no.
And there's certain things where I can recognize in myself what I can do and what I can do well. And, there's so many other factors in my life that, I would know, thank you. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that you think of me in this way, but I can't.
What happened when we stood outside that Dolphins meeting the other night?
Yes.
Where I was like, no. People were asking me to run for something. I'm like, no. I mean, it's a very lovely thought, but no, thank you.
Walking backwards to the car.
Yeah. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know it's appropriate and it's not appropriate.
Well, I think that, aside from that, I think that you would be good in that particular in a position like that.
No.
But
I'm trying to get out.
I know.
And they're trying to pull me back in.
Oh, the Godfather.
Godfather's
coming back. But I think it takes, you have to really, I used to work for this lady many, many moons ago. And she would tell me that anytime you're making sort of a big decision like that, you gotta sort of find a space that's quiet, and you have to really give yourself that quiet, almost like a meditative moment, and really don't read stuff, don't do stuff. You're sitting alone, you're by yourself, and you really have to kind of go through the scenarios, think through everything, and then sort of come to your decision. You can't just, because in the moment sometimes you're like, ooh, that sounds interesting, or ooh, that sounds horrible. You gotta let things settle without all the noise. It's like Emerson and Thoreau, right? You gotta escape all that noise and find the answer within yourself. And maybe go meditate, go think about it. And this isn't a dig at anyone in particular,
all right? Let's say he even gets it. That's 4 years. Right? It's a 4-year position. That's 4 more years that we are not in a better place. We needed to start 10, 15, 20 years ago.
I would like to see a plan.
How much fucking longer are we going to go?
I would like
before
to see,
we stop nonsense.
I don't even really know how this works. The last time it was just Manny Diaz is chair. What? I want to know, what is the platform? What is the 4-year plan? In year 1, we're doing this. In year 2, we're doing this.
We need longer than that. But during your term, what is it?
What are the things you're doing to set up?
Yeah.
Right, to move forward. I want to hear that then.
You have no other...
hear it? Where do we get to go as Democrats in a club and listen to any of these people? Do we get a say?
It's the most incestuous, disgusting fucking display of shit I've ever seen.
And here's the other thing. When I think you sent it to me, somebody sent it to me, that when Red Broward comes out on a tweet and is yeah, this is a great idea because we've won big. It was under your leadership.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
The people who retweeted
it's embarrassing.
The people who retweeted it and put great comments, including Chip LaMarca, were about the Rick Hoy story on Twitter. We're this sounds great. You know what? When you lose so bad, when the governor DeSantis almost beat Charlie Crist in the bluest county in Florida, you're right. That should be the leader you guys are promoting. And the vice chair of the Republican Party here was sounds great. He's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job.
He's doing great. You guys should promote him.
The fact that they have the balls to do that, it's embarrassing. Well, it's embarrassing.
Here's the thing.
They're not quaking in their boots.
And they don't give
a
fuck.
They're welcoming it.
They will tell you.
That alone is a red flag.
And they'll tell you, don't run. When someone's like, I'm going to step up and run, they're like, no. Republicans don't fucking play here. They don't play here.
They want to win.
George Santos aside, I don't know what happened up there, but like here,
whatever, he's winning. He's elected.
He won. Well, here's the thing, like what I was saying about, which is a story that I really fucking love, is taking the seat, running when you should be running, and that's Katie Porter.
Oh,
who's a U.S. House rep in California. Everybody knows her with her whiteboard. And she writes
with her. What is it, like? I don't give a fuck. Or Race to not give a fuck. I don't know what. She had that book, and I was like,
stunts. It's stunts.
Whatever. I love it.
This week, she announced.
This is thrilling.
She announced she's going to run for the U.S. Senate in California to unseat the old crow.
Yeah.
Dianne Feinstein.
I mean,
who never said she's not running. Like, she didn't say she's not running for re-election.
Well, I said to you,
so Katie Porter's just like,
she probably doesn't even know that there's an election happening.
She's 98.
Because didn't her staff say she's senile?
Yeah, she doesn't know what's going on there.
I mean, and that's a shame. It's a shame. Like, listen, I'm not making fun of people and senility.
No, get the fuck out.
But you shouldn't be in office.
I'll make fun of you. Get the fuck out. Oh, you don't understand? Time to pack it up, Grandma. Get the fuck out. Pack it up. It's enough. And so then I saw a tweet where it was like, somebody wrote, what Katie Porter did is bold. I can't believe, what a move that is to make. Like, didn't like that Katie Porter did that. And I'm like, well, how long are we supposed to wait for Dianne Feinstein to decide she's done?
Come on.
Till she's 100?
Come on.
Get the fuck out.
And
you
put some
are
limits.
Out of control.
Can we put age 70, 75?
But that's the kind of shit I'm looking for. I am looking for people who are done asking permission to take a fucking seat that they should have. Ooh. I'm done waiting for Democrats to be like, excuse me, sir, I know I haven't been doing very much, but can I please lead your part?
Yes.
Fuck you. People are tested and they know what they're doing. They've run businesses. They have the fucking goods. You give them the chance to do it. You don't elect shitty people who have fucking done nothing. They've done nothing.
Oh my God.
And because they're your friend. Oh, fuck
Where
off.
the Democrats are the Oliver Twist of the fucking political world.
Excuse me, sir. Can you please vote for me? That's what we're doing. We're begging. We're going door to door begging for votes. And Republicans are like, cut their throats. And people fucking love it. They're like, yes. It's like Mad Max versus
yeah.
It's like
the little orphan.
Mad Max versus Oliver Twist.
The fucking.
All I'm asking for is y'all become fucking Mad Max, bitch. All I want. That's all I want. Start kicking ass and taking fucking names. Oh, and this ain't the way.
No.
This is not the way.
It's not the way.
This
Jesus
is not the
Christ.
way. I am beside myself. And you know what? He could win. He could win.
Oh, he probably will.
He's not very well known around the state.
No.
He's quite...
But if you have these three, Tadeo would be... maybe better known around the state just because she was on that.
And party-wise, I don't think she's liked.
Right, but I'm thinking of if these are our only three candidates, then he might be the best choice. Jesus.
But
can we?
But by the way, I know that
too. Putting a list of people, and actually asking people who can do this. I can't.
That's the fucking most fucked up part.
Is this a paid position?
Yes, I think it is.
Oh,
I think so. But that's the most fucked up part is that there's that of the three that if Tadeo throws her hat in the ring, I'm like, well, what is our best option here? And he might look like the best option to people because the way that Barreros was dragged on Twitter, like, I don't see how that's ever going to happen unless the staff is separated from like committee people, but people know, like, they said it was his plans in this last election. Like, this guy Manny Diaz basically handed the reins over to him and he drove it into the fucking ground.
God, then what does he do?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. By the way, dudes, find a woman of color.
I was just going to say that.
Not in that Tadeo. Find a woman of color. There has got to be a black woman organizer that has been kicking ass that could do this job.
Oh my God.
There has to be. And I hate to put that on a black woman. I hate to do that. I really do.
But we need strength.
But this is where they have the patience
and intelligence
and the plans to get shit done.
And ability.
Yeah.
And networking. Like, we need a lot. We need a lot.
They know what's important, and it's not about pronouns and fucking gas stoves, which I don't know what's happening now with these gas stoves. I don't know what that is.
You know what? I mean, God, we even like interviewed that amazing Maya Brown. Like these are people like in the political realm that.
Yeah, but she's an employee. Like she runs her own business.
Right. She has her own. I know. I'm saying, but someone that like her. That's like, you know.
Well, why don't we ask the people who work like that in the party and how she doesn't work in the party, but work for candidates and knows what needs to be done. Those are the people we should be asking. Who do you think? Who do you know?
Right.
I should send
like
Michelle Rayner a DM.
But I would like even our friend Lindsay Pollard. Like these are people in the community who know people who are amazing people who are brilliant strategists. That's who you should be tapping to find out what the hell needs to be done. I don't know.
Anyway, whatever happens, if these are our two candidates that we have right now.
3. Yeah.
Well, we don't know. She hasn't jumped in.
Oh, I thought she did.
No, not yet. But if these two are the two we have, we're still in for a lot of trouble. And by the way, it also like says to me like, how much longer do I want to be here? I'm sorry, but it's like you don't even want to give it a chance. No. You don't even want to try. When you want to elect one of these two people, all you're telling me is that you are okay with mediocre losing. And I ask you, because we've seen it this last election, how much longer do you think you can cry poor me and bad guy DeSantis or bad guy Trump? Yeah. Guy Rick Scott and bad guy. How much longer? Because the people seem to like that. So who you're pointing out and saying is bad, the people are voting for.
Right.
So when is this strategy going to come around to, I don't know, not putting Charlie Crist as a governor candidate? Big mistake. Big mistake. It's the equivalent of what we're trying to do now here with this chair. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. And nobody says anything. Nobody says Charlie Crist is weak as a candidate. He's lost several times statewide. Nobody wants to say Charlie, not a good idea, because they want to stay friends with Charlie.
Right. But this trickles upward, right? Because now on the federal level, when we have like this Santos and that Marjorie Taylor Greene, the fringe loonies are now like wielding more power, like election deniers.
And most of them were from Florida. Those 20 that held the fucking Speaker of the House.
Election deniers are taking control. Like this is what's happening.
And when Florida fails to find candidates for the U.S. House, you have people up on the Speaker of the House not wanting to elect Kevin McCarthy 15 fucking times.
Yeah.
And they're from Florida.
But then you have that stupid McCarthy who, basically said about Santos is lying. Well, the other Republicans lie too. Like everybody lies. So it's like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah, we're going to sweep it. It'll go away. Right. It'll go away. Sweep it under the rug like everybody else does.
My God. I only had 2 like stupid little things.
Yes.
One made me laugh so hard because all the Biden thing with the classified docs.
Mm-hmm.
They found classified docs in Biden's office, and then they just found some more in his garage.
Mm-hmm.
So now all the Trump people are like, well, it was him, and look, he had stuff too, right? Because we can't ever win.
Well, it's also really funny. But sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, but the funny thing, the thing that made me laugh was Trump was like, it's worse that Biden has unclassified documents than me because Biden knows how to read.
What? He doesn't know the word classified? Is that what he's saying?
Like, he's saying like, I don't know how to read, and Biden knows how to read.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are we even still talking to Trump? Why are we even talking to him?
Because he's running.
Oh, stop it.
Well,
please.
That's what's happening.
Also, here's a lesson for Democrats. I don't know. When Trump's shit was found and we were blowing it up all over the place and we were like, this is crazy. Look at all these. I mean, that was a huge fucking story for months. Of course this could happen. Of course this could happen to Biden. And it could happen probably to a lot of people. I'm sure this isn't the first time that someone has had documents at us. But because y'all made it such a big fucking story, which it was a good story.
Yeah.
Now it's going to come back on you.
Yeah.
Don't, and also, I can't defend it. I can't defend fucking someone leaving classified. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, what?
You're an idiot.
What is going on?
It's like her fucking emails. It's like the fucking server that she had at her house, that dummy.
Yeah.
You're such a dummy, Hillary Clinton. Private server? What the fuck are you talking about?
No, I mean, anybody can have that shit.
And again,
you're the high school kid down the block.
It's another fucking example of like nobody around Hillary Clinton saying, ma'am, you have to use an email that's protected by, secure. Nobody said to her, ma'am, Yahoo's not a good idea from your house to send fucking, codes.
Hillary Clinton at yahoo.com.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the other thing that like just flipped me out a little bit was the Missouri Congress and the dress code.
Oh, with those sleeveless?
Like the women reps have to wear jackets now.
I have to tell you,
where are we living?
Yeah, but I've heard this before. If we would go to church and somebody's shoulder was exposed, it was like, that's inappropriate. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna rip the sleeves off everything.
Now let me tell you something. I think men's shoulders are so fucking hot. Like
that's your thing.
Isn't that weird?
Oh, like this part?
Right here.
Oh, hey.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's hot.
I like that.
Also, Lisa Marie Presley died this week.
Oh, yeah.
So fucking bummed out.
Yeah, it was a surprise. But she had just like been at that award ceremony.
But like when I saw her, like when Austin Butler won for the Elvis performance, and he was thanking them, and they looked at her in the crowd, like the camera. I was like, she looks fucking fucked up. I thought she looked fucked up.
Oh, like she was on something?
Yeah, and then
Didn't she struggle with like drugs and stuff too?
Listen, her son died of suicide 2 years ago. Like this, she's out of it. Like this is not a good life. Okay, I know it's like not poor me, but it was like she struggled. Yeah. So then I went and I looked at videos of her on the red carpet, like leaning in, and she seemed like she was drugged out. I mean, to me. And then she even, like, one point said to this guy who was with her, like, I'm going to hold on to your arm, like, in the middle of the interview, because she's, like, I think she was out of it. Yeah, so the cardiac arrest kind of makes sense if she was, using. But it's really, 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 really sad.
It's really sad. And, addiction is a health issue. It's a mental health issue, like, I feel like people who easily dismiss it as, like, oh, someone's just a junkie or a pillhead, like we have to really like understand that it's an illness. Yeah. And when we don't talk about stuff like that, or we dismiss it, or we sort of like turn our nose down to it, it's not good for anyone. Right? Because that impacts, look at our country. It impacts all levels, all races, all levels of education, all socioeconomic levels,
It's really sad. All right, are you ready? You're first.
Okay. All right, so today I'm going to tell you the story of former New York State Senator Hiram Monserrate. Okay, so Hiram Monserrate moved quickly from the New York City Council to the New York State Senate, but it was his quick temper that led to his political demise. All right, so our story takes place in Queens, New York in the early to mid 2000s. And from what I read, prior to winning office, Monserrate was a Marine and a police officer. And according to his New York Senate bio, he served in the Marine Corps Reserves and earned a National Defense Ribbon and Good Conduct Medal. Then he spent, when he was a police officer, it was like 12 years. So he worked as a cop for a long time. He won a seat on the Queens New York City Council, and according to his New York Senate page, he was the first Latino elected to public office in Queens.
Wow.
So, big accomplishment.
Yeah.
Then he went...
Jesus.
And as that elected official, he went up against then Mayor Bloomberg on immigration reform. He was challenging things like Bloomberg's immigration policy that required employers to report illegal immigrants to the feds. And he worked on issues like affordable housing. And as far as civic work, he did a lot. He served on the board of directors of the New York Civil Liberties Union.
Wow.
From 2002 to 2005, he served as the co-chair of the Black, Latino, and Asian Caucus. And he eventually wins that Senate seat to New York in 2008. So there were some controversies that surrounded him in his early days. The New York Observer's Catherine Jose wrote about slashed tires and stolen computers from a political rival, Sabini. but nothing legal ever stemmed from it. So supposedly there was like this rivalry, and like that campaign like accused that maybe like they were like doing stuff like that, which is kind of weird. She also wrote about this weird like Scientology connection where he tried to push this like detox program, which was Scientology based, to help with the 9/11 first responders' health issues.
What?
Yeah, it was very weird. And then he passed a resolution in the city council honoring Tom Cruise and L. Ron Hubbard.
What's going on here?
Yeah, it's like weird.
Is he a Scientologist?
No, Jose noted that when he was asked about it, Monserrate claimed that he didn't believe in Scientology, but he just liked the health program that they had, and he really wanted to like push that forward. It was odd.
There's something weird
It's
happening
a little
here.
weird.
Yeah.
All right, so as a newly elected senator, though, he didn't do much to make friends with the other Dems. And according to the New York Times, what he did instead was he took part in this coup with Senate Republicans. So he like went to the other side with the Republicans.
The dark side.
And it only lasted like a week or so. And then he was back on the Dem side. And then they were like, okay, you can have this committee position. And, you know.
Pussy motherfuckers.
Yeah, so it was just like this little drama.
Oh, you came back. You love us. Here you go. Here's all your gifts.
Yes.
Instead of being like, no.
Get out. Yeah. But he wasn't like in the Senate very long when the major incidents happened. So
boy.
Basically, there's two major incidents. So the first one happens in 2008, and then not shortly after, a couple years after that, then the second thing happens.
Okay.
The first thing is bad.
Oh, Tina,
I
know.
No,
I'm sorry. The way she looks at me, I know.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna.
All right. So allegedly in December 2008, so this is like right after he wins that seat.
Okay.
Monserrate and his then girlfriend Carla Geraldo had an argument. Supposedly because Monserrate found a business card in her purse which had a man's name on it.
Oh, he's such a fucking dick.
Because
why are you going through her purse, you fucking insecure motherfucker?
I mean,
can you imagine someone going through your bag?
No.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know. All right, so allegedly,
oh no, beat the shit out of her.
He smashed a glass in her face.
Wow.
Like right near her eye.
Charming. Wonderful.
And I mean, he really harmed her. Like,
no, that's so fucked up.
Afterwards, he dragged her through the apartment and then through like the apartment lobby.
What?
Like to his car to take her to get help because she like wanted like an ambulance.
Oh yeah, that's the right way to get her to the car. I didn't realize that was a new approach.
So a New York Times article by Ralph Blumenthal gives more details stating that Geraldo begged Monserrate to call 911, but he dragged her through the lobby and into the car where he drove her to the hospital, and then the hospital staff notified police.
Good.
Okay.
Thank God. Now,
an article I found in Gotham Gazette by Nadia Velasquez notes an interesting act that Monserrate allegedly took. So she writes that instead of taking her to the local hospital, he drove over an hour away. Because remember, he's an elected official, right? So she's supposing in this article that it was possibly, right, allegedly, to cover his tracks and avoid any spotlight given his position.
Now,
so which would be probably why he didn't want to call 911 and probably why he didn't just take her to, and he claimed later that like the other hospital had better service.
What, an hour away? I don't know hospitals an hour from here.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And number two, this isn't the first time. Let's be honest.
Right.
This is probably the first time he had to take her to a hospital.
Right.
But I'm sure.
So I do want to note that the article that woman wrote, she was supporting his political opponent at the time, so there may have been some bias, but...
Oh, give me a fucking break.
Just put it up.
Where's the bias when you're smashing glasses into people's fucking heads? Well, and then the cut... Yeah, I was going to say, it's near her eyeball.
The cut, by the way, went to her skull by her left eye.
What the fuck?
According to Blumenthal's article, and it also required between 20 and 40 stitches. So that's a lot.
I'm sorry.
And it left a lasting scar.
Bruh. I am the most insecure, jealous person you're ever going to meet in your life. I'm not fucking I am. You're not going to smash... I don't smash glasses on people. This is psychotic. This is crazy.
No. I mean, imagine...
No, I'm thinking about... Yeah. It's fucking... And to push it so hard that it goes into the skull.
Oh my God. I mean...
What a dick.
However, like in many domestic violence cases...
No!
his girlfriend stated that the cut was a result of an accident, and Monserrate concurred.
Oh,
they
sweet
stated
baby.
that the room was dark, and he tripped bringing her water. It doesn't even make sense. I'm
It's so
tripping and bringing you
insane.
water.
It's
Like,
so
unless
sad.
like, he fell on top.
No.
But there was video from the apartment lobby of him dragging her through it.
Holy.
So they could proceed at least to show that he did cause her injury somehow. So they couldn't prove that the glass part was a result of the fight, but because of the way he was dragging her through the lobby, they say, okay,
I'm sure he blames her for that. I'm sure it's her fault.
So there were 2 counts felony assault.
Whoa.
In the end, because she kept saying, like, no, it was an accident, it was an accident, it was an accident, and he's saying it's an accident. He was convicted of misdemeanor assault, and he didn't have to do like any jail time or anything. And it was, luckily there was even the evidence from the videotape. After the trial, Monserrate said, "First and foremost, I want to mention that a terrible accident occurred to my girlfriend, Carla Geraldo, a person that I love, and I will forever live with that." Can you imagine?
I am horrified.
Like that she has to also listen to that bullshit, because she did him a solid here.
I can't imagine what is going on. I know that victims of domestic violence, are just so desperate to and then protect this person.
And then it's probably like, oh my God, it's going to be my fault if he loses his career. It's going to be my fault if, you know what I mean? And like all the ramifications.
It's always about the other person. It's not about them.
Right. And then they're probably like, well, okay, I have stitches. Okay. It's, it's awful.
So sad.
It's terrible. Mayor Bloomberg at the time called Monserrate's actions, quote, disgraceful, despicable, deplorable, according to the New York Daily News. So he was given 3 years probation, 250 hours of community service, $1,000 fine, 1 year of domestic abuse counseling, and he also had a protective order that prevented him from seeing Geraldo. But
no,
it was vacated, and they were allowed to be in contact with each other.
Fuck.
So, because they both went before the judge, like, we want to still see each other,
judge, please, he could kill this woman.
So,
my God.
Because it wasn't a felony conviction, Monserrate didn't automatically get kicked out of his seat. If he would have been, like, found guilty of the felony assault.
This is the first incident? What the fuck happens?
So, the second one isn't as bad. I mean, it's bad, but not as bad as this at all. But according to the Associated Press and the New York Times, the Senate met and voted in a vote of 53-8 to expel him anyway because of the assault conviction.
Bro, you shouldn't have jumped over to the other side for a week.
That's basically it. Like, we were like, we don't like you.
They're like, we're going to just, Democrat, you know what, I'm going to give Democrats here a pass. We're like, we're going to sit and wait for this motherfucker to fuck up and then take him out.
Monserrate, of course, tried to fight it, saying, quote, "The actions that I've committed did not rise to the level of expulsion."
Oh my God!
You smashed a glass in someone's face.
This is how someone thinks. Women don't matter. They don't matter to anybody. No. Like, this is fucking crazy. Oh. And why? I know that the police didn't have like the evidence in the apartment, and she wouldn't admit to it. But stop! Don't leave it up to these victims. Understand the psychological abuse that's also happening.
But I guess in the court system, that when you have someone saying that didn't happen, you're under oath.
We need to understand and take into account the psychological abuse these women are also undergoing, and how they might not know their own best interests, and how you're going to protect them. That's what you're supposed to be doing as the police, as the court system.
Counseling,
protect these women. You know that woman didn't fall on a glass.
Can you imagine this poor lady? All right, so the second major incident. After this Yahoo gets ousted from office, he ends up getting in trouble for misusing city funds when he was an elected official.
Oh my God!
So, according to Colin Moynihan's New York Times article, Monserrate confessed to using $100,000 of city money to pay for a Senate campaign run. So, allegedly, according to the article, he moved $300,000 from the city council's discretionary funds to this non-profit group Libre, which he also happened to be a part of. And then $100,000 was used to help with his 2006 Senate bid. So he had run in 2006 and lost. And then he ran again and won in 2008. So he was charged with mail fraud and conspiracy. This time he got jail time.
Yay!
He went for 2 years. He ended up serving 21 of the 24 months.
That's enough.
And he had to pay restitution of $79,434.49.
Wow.
Which he did pay back. So this time around, he was contrite, saying, quote, "I am ashamed and deeply sorry for my lapse in judgment. I wanted to make a difference." You couldn't say sorry.
Holy cow! For stealing money?
Yeah.
But you beat the shit out of your girlfriend with a fucking I was a glass through her head and you can't fucking say you're sorry?
Can you
You
imagine?
fucking piece of shit. Fuck you.
The judge in the case,
what's this guy up to now? What's this? This is 20 years ago at this point. What the fuck?
Oh,
longer, right?
I'll
14?
tell you. The judge in this case, Colleen McMahon, stated, quote, "Using other people's money for your own purposes is way down in the lowest circle of hell.
All right.
You succumbed to the temptation as so many have before." All right. Well, yeah. Okay.
Bitch,
all right. So
you're preaching now.
Points of interest.
Ooh.
This guy
Yeah.
is the person who refuses to go away. Which is like, it's just like part and parcel for the Democratic Party, I guess. Or any party. I mean, look at fucking Donald Trump. I mean, shit. All right, so in 2016, he tries to run for district leader, which is a volunteer position, but it's like kind of like running like the Broward Democratic Party or like one of these, like, you know. And it's voted for, but in New York, a district leader can pick poll workers, they can nominate judges, they can vote for party leadership. It's a powerful position, right?
Okay.
In 2016, he runs for that, loses. In 2017, he decides to run for his old city council seat. According to a New York Post article, he said, quote, "I committed my sins. I paid for them. I paid my dues."
Where he stole money.
I mean, you were an elected official who took money.
Yeah.
When you were in that position, and now we want to put you back in it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Does he think people, let's see, is their memory short or no?
His opponent, Francisco Moya, said at the time, "I'll put my record up against his violent, criminal, and corrupt past any day of the week."
Good. Put it out there.
Still, there were folks, he didn't win.
Okay.
But there were folks willing to forgive and forget. Like, there were quotes in articles like, he did his time.
Wow.
And he didn't, it wasn't like he lost that election, but it wasn't, again, like some landslide.
You see, this is why, you know what, voters, you're fucking idiots.
Yes.
There's why are
more.
we doing this? Why are we giving everyday morons the right to vote? Fuck you guys.
In 2018, he ran for that district leader position again. This time he won.
What? See, you put enough time between the one election and some bullshit.
The Democrats are like, sure, why not?
Wow.
In 2020, he ran for New York State Assembly, lost.
Oh, God.
In 2022, he ran again for New York State Assembly. And it was so funny. I found his little, his page, his, campaign page. And he talked about how crime was up, and he was the one to help stop it.
He literally was a criminal at the time.
You stole money.
Yeah, you helped stop it because instead of somebody else stealing money, you stole money.
And then my favorite part, you stole money. Yeah. My favorite part was when he writes about winning that district leader seat. He says that he got that, quote, after a political hiatus. You're a loser who kept losing. You didn't take a hiatus. Like
you were in jail. You were in jail.
You were in jail. You lost election after election. You didn't step back.
Wow.
Right? A hiatus is like, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
No, you were forced to take a break because you're a crook.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, the rewriting of history. The rewriting.
He lost that election. All right, so it's time. It's time to stop. And it's time to get out of the political game. It's not for you. Nobody wants you.
He's not going to stop.
So the one thing that I found really gross, though, as my last little point of interest, is when he was first accused of that abuse, and like the videotape, that stuff is coming out. According to Ann Barnard's New York Times article, folks rallied around him, Democrats. And they had the nerve to wear these purple ribbons. And purple ribbons are a symbol for ending domestic violence. And one supporter, who was a Democratic district leader, who was also running an organization to help prevent domestic violence, said, quote, "Monserrate is a pro-choice and pro-woman." I mean, can we wait and see where the chips fall before you... you're supposed to be protecting women and you're running around with purple ribbons standing next to this guy?
Wow.
I was like, what?
But this is the same thing. I mean, I know I encourage everybody out there, like, here's the thing. Republicans stick together like that. Like, they'll protect their own so fiercely. And there's a part of that I really admire. But here's the thing. Don't protect shitty people. Democrats should never do that.
And they had to have heard things or
And this goes back to calling things out. Call people out or like, we don't like to say called out. Let's call them in, right? Yeah. And when this guy does this, somebody needs to call him in and say, yo, while you're under investigation, you should take a step back. Instead of just immediately rushing out to support them. They're human beings who, God knows what the fuck's happening behind closed doors. We don't know. Yeah. And you're pretending like everything you've seen at this person at like caucus meetings is who he really is. That's an act. These are all fucking pretend actors. It's not real.
But the fact that to get that woman to be supportive, right? Like they were probably like, ooh, you know who we need is so-and-so district leader because she's in that organization and it's against domestic violence. And people probably said to her, I'm telling you, this is, you know, and like, where's the not statement? True, and this and that and the other. And so,
where's the statement from her afterwards, after all the stuff comes out where she's like, this is shameful. I'm embarrassed that I was supporting this person. Fuck this guy. Yeah. Like, where's that statement?
I mean, maybe it came out. I didn't see that.
I hope so. But like, at least as publicly as you supported this piece of shit, just as public, you should be saying he's fuck
because
him.
I feel like if anyone we knew in our political circle and had like such an allegation, I would keep my mouth shut until like I knew a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, I just I will hold off and say, let's see what's happening. You know, is there, you know, sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire, but not all the time. So you got to wait a little bit and keep your mouth shut. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But that's the story. I was like, oh my God, this guy.
Jesus, I can't believe he's still around.
Still, he won't go away. 2022 he's running.
God, fuck off.
Go away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it.
All right.
I don't get it.
Let's go.
Oh, I get to relax now.
So today, I've been doing my stories like a week ahead of time. Like right now, my story's halfway done for next week, which I'm super, like, you have no idea. I'm like staying on top of it.
Yes. Mine is always, I always write on Tuesday. Tuesday is the day that I write it.
It's all done.
I have my schedule.
And I know what I'm doing next week, but then also for the week after, I already know what I'm doing. So I'm like really staying on top of it for season 4.
Ooh, look at that.
I'm excited about next week's story. It'll be good.
Woo!
Okay. And today, I am covering Florida v. Pitts-Lee.
Okay.
Pitts and Lee versus Florida in 1963 was a criminal case in which 2 black defendants were charged with murder. It was an important civil rights case because of the wrongful conviction and exoneration. So, the crime, this is a old Florida story. We've done these before.
Oh, good.
It's not a new concept of what was happening in old Dixieland, which was Florida and probably is in certain parts of the state. Not Lee County. What's that county up there? That horrible sheriff.
Oh,
because Lee County is Fort Myers. There's a horrible sheriff.
Yeah, whatever. It's anything.
When they didn't give the death penalty to the Parkland shooter, he came out and he was like, "That's what happens in Broward.
Yeah,
you don't bring that motherfucker up here because we'll string him up on it." He's a fucking piece of shit, like old school. Fuck him. So, by the way, that's how all of Florida used to be. Like you've done stories here where I think you did one for Palm Beach and one in Broward where it was just lynching black boys for fucking no reason. And the white people just come up and start shooting the body and stabbing the body.
But we don't need to learn history.
Yeah. I mean, where we're sitting here, where I lived, was old farmland, and all the houses in this neighborhood were like these because it's the oldest neighborhood in the city where I live, and on the other side of the tracks, which is a predominantly black neighborhood, is where all the farm workers lived, and they would walk across the tracks and work in the farms, which were here, like where we're sitting, basically.
Wow.
So I'm sure there's a lot of history.
Yeah.
Right here.
It's wild.
I know. So, the crime occurred on August 1st, 1963 in Port St. Joe, Florida. On the night of the crime, Freddie Pitts, who was 28, and Wilbert Lee was 20, and several other people went to Mojo gas station in the small town. Pitts and Lee went to use the restroom, but the restrooms in the facility were for whites only. This caused Pitts and Lee to get into an argument with the attendants, 2 white men named Grover Floyd Jr. and Jesse Burkett.
Just let someone pee.
Yeah. And apparently they were at this big party. It was a really small town, which again, these small towns still exist in Florida. They're very scary. You want to talk about Deliverance? I think it was filmed here. And you drive through and you're like, let's just get to the next town. Did I tell you the story about the gas station attendant? I went somewhere. Where the fuck was this? It was in the middle of Florida somewhere, and we were getting gas. And I asked the lady, I went in, and I asked the lady, how do we get to the highway? Because, this is before cell phones and GPS, whatever. And she goes, I don't know. I've never been on the other side of that road over there. And she points, and I'm like, it's like 50 feet away. Like, dead face. Like, I've never been on the other side of that. I said, I got the car. I'm like, we have to get the fuck out of here. We have to get out of here. Like, old school, man.
Jesus. That sounds so scary.
So these 2 guys were at a party with a bunch of people. They had been at the gas station earlier and got some gas and went out to this party and came back to use the phone and go to the bathroom. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen. But these two...
when you say it's whites only, they didn't have facilities for...
Right.
Oh,
Right. And it's 1963.
Come on.
Yeah.
I hate
It took a long time for Florida to come along,
much.
by the way. Like, Florida was like one of the...
Because we're a stagnant goddamn swamp.
Yeah. So, these 2 men, Floyd Jr. and Burkett, were found dead 3 days later. So the 2 gas station attendants who they had a fight with were found dead 3 days later. Burkett and Floyd had been abducted before dawn on August 1st at the gas station. So the same day this happened. Their bodies were found in a secluded area near a canal some 13 miles from the station, and they had been shot to death. After being coerced by the police into making an accusation, a woman who was with Pitts and Lee at the gas station, the bathroom fight, all that, accused Pitts and another man in the crime. The other suspect was a soldier who worked for the military, and they provided him an alibi. So then the woman comes back and changes her accusation, accusing Pitts and Lee of the crime. Pitts and Lee confessed to the crime after the police beat them and threatened to harm Lee's wife, among other examples of cruel treatment. Their lawyer, who had been appointed by the court, advised them to plead guilty.
And so these 2 guys sound like assholes to begin with. So I'm sure there were plenty of people that probably didn't like them.
Yeah. Agreed. And then they were sentenced to death by an all-white jury on August 28th, 1963. 27 days later. 27 days after this crime was committed. They were convicted to die by an all-white jury.
When everyone else, it's like years before you even go to trial.
Yeah. In 1966, a man named Curtis Adams confessed to the murders of Floyd and Burkett. So a few years later, this guy says that he did it. Pitts and Lee spent over a decade appealing their case, even though somebody had already admitted to doing it. In 1964, they appealed to the Florida Supreme Court, alleging that the judge in their case had made procedural errors. However, the court ruled against them.
Of course.
Then they filed a motion objecting to the composition of the jury that had sentenced them, and after the trial, court ruled against them. They appealed to the Florida First District Court of Appeal. The court upheld the lower court's ruling. Pitts and Lee filed another appeal on their convictions in 1967. So now they've been in jail 4 years. They argued
it's 1967. Wake up.
I know. They argued several points. Okay, so they objected to the fact that one lawyer had represented both of them. People who opposed the death penalty had not been included on the jury. They argued that their guilty plea was based on coercion, which I think is the most important part, and that their lawyer had been inadequate, which he was, and that the state had withheld evidence that supported their innocence, and that Curtis Adams had confessed to this crime. Like, there's already somebody else.
And was Curtis Adams, because he made that confession, then jailed as well?
Yes, but...
So that doesn't make sense.
Right.
If you put someone else in jail for committing that crime, then you let the other people go.
Yeah. And not only had Adams confessed to the crime, but the woman who was their witness, who accused them, was now saying she was coerced into pointing them out and saying that, which we knew,
she's probably feeling guilty as hell.
Because the 2 people she pointed out, one of them was like the military's like, no, he was here on the base all night, and she's like, the cop, it was this guy. I mean, it's so fucked up. However, there was considerable resistance in the state to acknowledge these facts, right? Nobody wants to admit
that they're wrong.
They did something wrong. When the Gulf County
Sheriff... people's lives, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing that you don't want to admit your faults and there's no repercussions, but people are going to die.
Yeah.
Jesus.
When the Gulf County Sheriff was told about Adams' confession, he said, quote, "I got 2 N-words on death row who already did it," end quote.
I hate everything.
Yeah. However, in court, the prosecutors refused to grant Adams immunity for his crime, so he pleaded the Fifth Amendment. Right? Because he's like, I'll confess to this, but I don't want to be held accountable. So then they're like, no, we're not giving you immunity. So then he's like, well, I'm not going to ever talk about it. Then he continues to plead the Fifth. While the court had ample evidence that Adams had told other people about his guilt, including testimony from his girlfriend, they could not use it because of Adams pleading the Fifth.
Great. Real competent people.
Warren Holmes, the man who had taken Adams' confession under a lie detector, mentioned the case to his friend Gene Miller. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Holmes told Miller that he believed Pitts and Lee were innocent, right? So the guy, thank God, taking this polygraph was like, this is so fucked up. There's 2 men who are going to die, and it's just not right.
No.
So he tells Miller, but Miller is a reporter for the Miami Herald.
Ooh.
So he begins to investigate this case, and he wrote a book on his findings.
This is why journalism matters.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was thinking, the same thing. He wrote a book on his findings. It's called Invitation to a Lynching, which argued that Pitts and Lee had been wrongfully convicted.
Oh.
In 1976, Miller would be awarded a Pulitzer Prize in local general or spot news reporting for his book. This book convinced Florida Attorney General Robert Shevin to testify to the Florida Supreme Court that he believed the state had wrongfully withheld evidence and that the 2 men were actually innocent.
Oh, thank God. So please tell me.
Shevin later admitted that his confession of error, that they made this mistake, likely cost him his chances at being governor, but he said, quote, "but it was right and I had to do it," end quote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someone who isn't putting their own career ahead of someone else's life.
Yeah. Shocking.
It's impressive. Well, it's
Shocking.
impressive.
It
It's
is.
impressive.
It is. Pitts and Lee then had an actual trial, but they were again declared guilty by an all-white jury. Neither Adams' confession nor the prosecution's earlier suppression of evidence were allowed to be presented to the jury. It's all a fucking game, dude. It's so fucked up. It's like protecting each other.
Yeah.
The U.S. Supreme Court's decision in Furman v. Georgia caused their death penalty sentences to be commuted to life imprisonment. So basically, this case was they constituted the death penalty as cruel and unusual punishment in the case of a burglary death that happened in Georgia. Furman v. Georgia, and that same thing applied to them. So they were no longer on death row, but they're still serving life sentences
in a Florida prison.
Yeah. Pitts and Lee made an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, but the governor would pardon them before the Supreme Court decided either to grant them to take their case.
Oh, so they're free.
Yes. So Arthur Canaday, general counsel to Governor Reuben Askew, read an early copy of Miller's Invitation to a Lynching. Canaday found the book persuasive, and he told the governor that there was a real chance that these defendants were innocent.
Oh, thank God.
Askew launched an investigation into the case, and he too became convinced that Pitts and Lee were innocent.
Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps.
Me too. The governor and 3 members of his cabinet, the Attorney General Robert Shevin, who I mentioned earlier, Canaday, who previously worked for him, Treasurer Phil Asher, and Education Commissioner Ralph Turlington signed a pardon that freed Pitts and Lee after 12 years in prison.
Wow.
1975.
Do they get money?
Okay, I'll tell you that. But I want to say something about Governor Reuben Askew. The way I found the story is through him. I was looking for shitty Florida governors. We've had quite a few. And this is actually somebody who was a really good guy.
Really?
All I could read is the accounts of how he was this amazing, he was a Democrat, but he didn't play bullshit, and he worked both sides, and he worked he did really good things for the state. He believed in integration, which was a big part of the time that he was the governor, and he was and everybody was he's the nicest guy ever, and he also was very handsome. I thought it was very cute when I was looking at his pictures. I was like, you know what, he still looks so cute. Anyway,
but can't we get back to that? Aren't you tired?
Oh, so tired
of the divisiveness and the anger and the real on both sides. Can we please move together a little bit and just get work done that matters? It's really gotten out of control, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's
depressing. I know so many people that are I can't watch the news because it brings up so much anxiety and worry. What are we doing?
Well, what
are we doing as a country?
It makes sense that people have become apathetic. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
It's exhausting. I'm exhausted. for someone who's so involved in it and knows like the ins and outs and all of it, I'm tired of it. And I don't know how people volunteer for the party for 30 fucking years and watch bullshit, except that they eat the shit the party feeds them of like, this wasn't our fault, this wasn't our fault. Instead of actually saying to these folks, wait a minute, we could have done this, this, and this. Like, aren't you, I've been doing it since 2017, 5 years. 6 years this year? I'm tired of it. Like, I want out.
Yeah.
I want out. Like, I can't continue to sit silently, which I don't do very well, and not say things. And when I say silently, I mean in mixed company. Right, here, I'm going to tell you what it's like, because this is where it should go.
But it's draining. It's draining. It's exhausting. And it's a lot of work to volunteer and to put time into something. And it's so disheartening when it constantly feels like it's never going our way.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm the woke person. I got it. But the right uses the woke against us. And the way that they go and talk to people is about kitchen table issues. I know that what we see online and like social media seems very like drag shows, which it is. It's all terrible and bad. I get it. That's just to throw red meat at the morons that vote. Yeah. But the people who really are looking for leadership, we really need to stop taking the bait. And we need to talk to people. I really am concerned about homeowners insurance.
But it's got to be our wallets. Yeah. Right? Because at the end of the day, that's what people are concerned about, their money. Yeah. Right? Are they going to be able to retire?
And I don't even think...
Are they going to have enough money saved? Are they going to be able to afford their house? Are they going to be able to afford health insurance?
And those things are really important.
Their kids' colleges.
And the thing is this too, like, you can talk about how the things that you want to do as a party, like as a candidate, to improve on those things, and also in the same breath point to exactly what the Republicans have been doing for 20 years to take those things away from you, to make it more difficult. That needs to be the headlines. They literally just had a special session for homeowners insurance that only benefited the insurance companies. Yeah. They did nothing to help homeowners. No. It's an outrage.
People are losing their homes.
And you can point to that. You can say, here's what we wanted, here's what they gave you. Here's what the Republicans did. You can do that. But even with abortion, like, it's a very important issue for me. We're not going to get anywhere on it until we're winning. Right. That's when we can change it. We're not ever going to win again. So we need to gird our loins, put them condoms on, get on birth control pills, protect yourself. Protect yourself, women. Yeah. Protect yourself. And in the meantime, we need to elect people who are going to overturn that stuff. That's not going to happen for 20 years. So how about we talk about the things that people are really concerned about? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm tired of it. I'd love it. I mean, I know the Groveland 4. I think I did that story here, and I do miss this kind of governor. But it was DeSantis who, in his first term, when Bobby DuBose brought up the Groveland 4, he did pardon them. Like, remember, that was a whole thing where Bobby was asking for years for that to happen, and DeSantis did sign it with an apology, I believe, for this wrongful conviction. But I mean, that's way longer than it should have taken. Yeah. But anyway, so after being pardoned, Lee worked for the Florida Department of Health and Rehabilitative Services as a juvenile counselor. Oh. However, he lost his job in 1985 after Florida passed a law banning former felons from working with children. Meanwhile,
he's not a felon.
That's right.
He's pardoned from a crime he didn't commit.
That's right.
You gotta be kidding me with this state.
It's so stupid. Lee took legal action, and although a lower court ruled against him, the Florida 3rd District Court of Appeal ruled in his favor.
Thank God.
The court ruled that Askew's pardon made Lee free from any legal consequences of his conviction. Pitts and Lee would work for years to try to gain some sort of compensation for the wrongful imprisonment. A bill was introduced multiple times in the Florida legislature to grant them money to attempt to make up their imprisonment, or make up for it.
It's rightfully so.
It failed 19 times. The legislation was regularly defeated by traditional Southern Democratic faction of conservative legislators from the Panhandle. Y'all know where that is, right?
Racist.
Old crackers. The old crackers in the Panhandle. Another part of the state you drive through very quickly. Get through here. Where are we going? Let's get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. In 1998, Kendrick Meek, who was I believe a Broward rep, reintroduced the bill in the Florida House, and Betty Holzendorf reintroduced it in the Senate. Holzendorf and Meek, along with a faction of more liberal Democrats, forged an alliance with Florida Republicans over getting the bill passed. However, The House wanted to give the men substantially less money than the Senate did. The Florida House ended up passing a bill that would allow a hearing officer from the Florida Department of Administrative Hearings to grant the men a reward of up to $350,000 for 12 years in prison.
That they're splitting?
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
A committee in the Senate voted to directly give each man $1.5 million.
Good.
The Senate and House were eventually able to reach a compromise. On April 30th, 1998, Florida Governor Lawton Chiles, our last Democratic governor, signed a bill into law that granted each man $500,000.
Okay. I mean,
not as much as I think they should get, but it's something, I guess. Bullshit.
Imagine suffering for 12 years.
No, and I've seen pictures of these men who I believe are still, but these pictures might be from 10 or 15 years ago, out protesting on the Capitol steps, giving their fucking business. They're still involved in shit, and I love it. I love every second of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What a fucking mess.
What a mess. All right, well.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll end on a positive note. The one positive thing in politics this week was Illinois becoming the 9th state to ban
assault weapons. Love it.
Yeah, so it's California, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, and Washington, D.C. So it seems like those are the states that we need to move to.
Yeah.
Can the rest of the states get on board?
Plus, you and Emma both sent me a story that I'd already seen, and I was like, I want to go to there. We're in Michigan. I think it's...
Yeah, it's Michigan.
I think it was Ann Arbor, but...
It was Ann Arbor, yeah.
Where there's a club where it's for everybody. It's like 65.
Rock and roll.
On Friday nights, it's 65 and over, and people fucking go ape shit in there. And I'm like, I want to go. I want to go.
Oh my God.
I mean... Yeah,
I have been watching Golden Girls clips
and
and AbFab clips and just this like short little 2-minute clips, just laughing my ass off. It's just there's been a nice distraction this week.
B. Arthur on the Golden Girls has to go down.
She's
as one of the greatest performances
man. She's so good.
Ever on television. She is so fucking funny.
She's so good when she says. I love all of it. I love the dynamics of all of them and Blanche.
Oh my God.
I just want the confidence of Blanche when I'm older. Because she's just like, I'm hot. And I'm getting down. I'm doing it. And she just thinks that she is gorgeous. And I love it.
I know.
And I feel like, especially for women, where it's almost like, it feels like there's an expiration date, once you're past like 25 in society, right? And from back in the day, she really is empowering of own that sexuality and the way she would walk in a room. I love it.
I know.
Love it.
Me too.
She's
so
so
of
great.
The 4 Golden Girls, which one do you think you are? Are you Sophia with Italian stories? We hear parts of everybody.
Yeah, I mean... I love the B. Arthur character.
Oh my God.
She's just a spitfire. And I like cause she's got that, she'll just come in.
Yeah.
But
or
Sophia,
she'll give a look. She'll just look at somebody.
Yeah. But Sophia does it too. But Sophia will say some fucked up shit. Which makes me laugh. Rose, I feel like, is a little too dumb. It's like something she's done. She's just a little too ditzy. I sent you that clip with the condoms.
Oh my God, it's so fucking funny.
It's so stupid.
I know.
But it made me laugh with the lambskin.
Yeah.
And just, it's so dumb. Oh my God.
Good stuff.
So good. I watched that with my kids. I'm like laughing. And I was like, I need to revisit the Golden Girls and just watch it.
Do you know what I started rewatching is The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh my God.
I know you just finished it,
it's so ridiculous.
So funny. That sister is such a complicated woman. I
love
every time
her.
she says something, I'm like, what is going on in that fucking head of this woman? She is so all over the place.
Oh my God. And then what else? I guess, I have my whole mood for 2023 is about reclaiming time. It's all about reclaiming time. Reclaiming time to read or to do some stupid activity.
If you're not aware, Tina has a very scheduled life. Everything is this day do this and this day do this. So what are you fitting in reclaiming my time somewhere on your daily calendar?
It kind of just Yeah, I guess like before, like when I would take my kids swimming, I would do like work or something on my, and now I'm like, no, I'll read. I mean, I always do like my run and my exercise or whatever, but then I'm just like really, this year I really want to focus on trying, because I always read, but I want to read a lot more like I used to. So I'm already on my second book.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Look at you. Look at you.
Yes. I finished, the first one I finished was, it was called Sentence it's actually really interesting because it's from a Native American writer, Louise Erdrich, and it's taking place during the time of COVID, but you don't realize that till halfway through the book. And then it's like she talks about, the character is Native American, and she talks about the George Floyd riots because it's happening in that state.
We were just watching something. My daughter said to me, "Man, 2020 was wild." I'm like, "Yeah, that summer was nuts."
And so, but the book is interesting because it's like she was in jail, she gets out of jail, she's like back, she's like in the tribal community, and it's just a wild, and there's a ghost, and it's just a very interesting little book. So I finished that, and now I'm like, oh, let me read just Shirley Jackson, and she wrote The Haunting of Hill House, which was a Netflix show. She also wrote The Lottery, which was a short story that like everybody reads in school, and I was like, I've never read like a novel from her, so I started reading that, and I'm almost done. So
it's been a while since we talked about books on here.
Yes, so
we should have like a book corner with Tina. Tina's book corner.
Oh my god, I have so many on my TBR shelf. So
what's that?
The to be read. I just have a stack of books like this for this year.
TBR.
Yes, book nerd acronym.
Everything gets shortened up. Oh,
so God. That's it. All right, I'm done. I'm taking up time.
Oh please, who gives a shit?
Who cares?
Oh, you don't like it?
Damn it.
Go fuck yourself.
Stop listening.
Oh no. Well, I'm gonna have to heavily edit the beginning of this
podcast
my God. Because I went nuts. And by the way, I noticed that you were quite quiet over there while you let me roll. Tina's like going, I'm out. I'm out.
Like this.
Yeah, Tina's like, I'm out. Great, Tina. Great. Leave me out to fucking dry. Whatever.
Wow.
Again, I have no skin in this game. You don't pay me. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't get my money from this bullshit. Fuck off.
Listen, no, I wish, and I've said this to you so many times, like, I wish I could be as open. Like, I did, I hold back, but I admire that openness that you have so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody loves it.
They do. Ooh. All right. So, listen, we need you guys to share the pod, help us out, get us out there. Hit subscribe, send it to people. Like, the more that you guys do that, the more that we're out in the world. And season 4, we want exposure, but we need you to do it.
Yeah.
So please, like, leave us, like our stuff online, share our stuff online, leave a comment on the podcast, whatever podcast device you're listening. Like, all of that helps us. The more that people review, the more we get in front of other people. So that's my plug.
Do us a solid, y'all.
Do us a solid. We need you.
Yeah, that's right.
We got to pay these bills. You know what I
mean? These podcast bills. Kitchen table issues. We need to pay bills. All right.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.